Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SpaceX Starlink L5 launch stream part 2. Yeah, I've seen that there are lots of people here again. Probably a lot of you have been here last time when we had the launch abort. Or, yeah, well, it was the last one since I researched it, I think 2016. So that is pretty crazy. That's something we see rather rarely. But still, it happened, and now we're sitting here again. Probably many of you, especially from Europe, are at home anyway right now because we have a lot of stuff going on because of some certain situation that is evolving right now, as everybody knows. And good morning to everybody from the United States. Enjoy your morning coffee. It's pretty early over there, I know. I don't pick the launch times, SpaceX does. And I seen the question on the chat. I watched the chat for a while now, as I always do when I do preparations for the live stream. SpaceX has 4-hour time on their stream, but that's just because I think they messed up the time again, because launch time should be in before I forget that, let me just real quick fix this one for you. This should be the launch time. Give me a second. Where is it? There we go. That should be the correct launch time, no matter what the SpaceX stream says, unless they change the time again. That should be what we're looking for right now. So a little more than an hour until we hopefully see a rocket launch. So I've seen a lot of people from all over the place again. If you want to type into the chat where you're from, I always love seeing that. We have Australia, Slovenia, India, Portugal, Victoria, Australia again. That's a convenient launch time right now, right? Should be somewhere in the evening for you guys in Australia. That's pretty good. Yeah, Portugal, Greece, Netherlands. Oh my God. You're from all over the place. Leipzig, Germany, Thailand, Arizona. It is racing so fast I can barely read this. Lots of Americans. Guys, it's crazy that you got up so early, especially on the West Coast. It's what, like 4 in the morning right now? That is awesome. You're some serious SpaceX fans right there. England, Czech Republic, Romania. Very nice. South Africa again. Very cool. That should be... I think South Africa is the same time zone as Germany is, funny enough, even though it is so far away. I think it's the same local time over there. Very cool. Geosynchronous orbit. Very nice of you to join. How's your delay time to the stream? Canada, France, Italy. A special love and hugs to Italy right now because you're going through a very bad time right now. I've seen a lot of news on the internet. Of course, it's like the weather report a little bit right now. In the morning, you don't check what's the weather gonna be today. You check what the infected count is. It's a crazy situation, but we'll make the best of it. And luckily, you can watch SpaceX launches from home, so that's a pretty good thing. And as a YouTuber, I'm in a pretty good situation of being able to work from home, of course, which is a really nice thing to have right now. Uranus. Very nice. Very, very cool. Thank you very much for showing up. Thank you to the moderators who showed up again to moderate the stream. Last time we had a little bit of a problem with some rather nasty bots or something. I don't know. If that happens again, I'll switch the chat to slow mode. So don't be upset. It's just because the bot was really spamming everything. We've got some experts in the background trying to find out where the bot comes from and what to do about it, because we don't really want to use a chat bot because they are really rather restrictive with what you can type, and normally we just have friendly people here, so I don't want to restrict you too much. So if that thing occurs as last time as we had it on the last Starlink launch attempt, I'm going to switch the chat to slow mode, so you'll be restricted to every 10 seconds, but that should be good until the bot is gone, hopefully. Just as a heads up for that. Hugs from Spain. Thank you very much. Just a tad more volume if I can. Let me just check if that should be full though. I can oh I can get a bit closer to the microphone if you want to. As you can obviously see, I can hit myself in the head with it too. But it should be just fine. Actually, everything's set to max. Yes, I'm from Germany. I'm from the Rhineland, right next to Nürburgring, Green Hell. If anybody of you is into racing, I'm living right next to the racetrack, so close that when they're racing, I can open up the window and I can hear the cars. So that's how close I am to that. From Japan, thanks for joining from Japan. I've never been to Asia in my life before. No, nothing in Asia, and it's still on my bucket list. So. Prepare for my arrival, Japan, because that is one of the countries I definitely want to visit in my life. Japan seems really interesting. Thank you for the super chat. That is the morning coffee. Thank you very, very much. Always helps a lot. Oh, and right in the beginning, if you have the time, click the like button, because we've already had some trolls disliking the stream, and the algorithm loves likes. So if you want to show the stream to anybody else, the best thing you can do is hit the like button, because the algorithm will rank it higher up and more people will be able to join. So click that button, as always. Another super chat. Thank you very much, Dale. Yeah, the SpaceX site says 4 hours. Well, they posted on Twitter, and all the websites say that it is 12:16 GMT. So I'm going with that right now. If it's in 4 hours, you're lucky, and I'll be streaming for 4 hours. But right now, I'm thinking that SpaceX just has the time set up incorrectly, because the 16:015 that I see here, that is 4:15 p.m. in the afternoon for Germany on the live stream on YouTube, doesn't make any sense at all. Because even if the time was wrong, they wouldn't start an hour early, and they wouldn't start a minute before launch either. So my guess is that the times are incorrect. We've had that before with SpaceX in the past, that they have the live stream time incorrectly. So my guess is that's what's happening. Thank you for the super chat from Japan. You'll translate for me. That would be very useful, because I do not speak a single word of Japanese. So yeah, but like I said, Japan is one of my main addresses to visit as soon as I get the time. I'm really busy, of course, and I was very, very happy that I actually had 10 days to spend in the US, and it was right before the borders closed as well, which was really, really lucky. Curtis, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Toilet paper cash, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Thank you, Hunter, for the super chat. I'm planning to keep up the work, of course, and I'm back to the normal schedule. Tomorrow's episode is almost done, and there's a lot of in comparison to the last episode, where I played a little bit of catch up. Well, besides the Blue Origin, which was brand new, but I played a little catch up on Starship, because there was so much happening there in the 10 days that I was gone. And tomorrow's episode will have the latest information again. I'll do an update on the schematic, so you can see the progress, because we're pretty far ahead already. As said on a different episode, on a past episode, it's kind of hard to track the progress if they're doing the segment approach, which they're doing right now with Mark 1. They just stacked it, and you could always see by the height of the Starship itself, you could see how far they were with building it. And right now, that is a little harder. So I use the schematic, and you'll see in tomorrow's episode that they're almost done with serial number 3 right now, which is insane. Oh wow, another super chat. Thank you, Eduard. Shout for the fellow Romanians around here. Keep up the good work, buddy. Thank you very, very much. Mo Guide, another super chat. Thank you, guys. You're very generous today, and it helps a lot. Thank you very, very much. I hope that they capture the landing perfectly. Yeah, I hope so too. Inspired from my journey. That is very, very nice. I've heard that. I've read that on comments quite a bit on the last episode, which makes me really, really happy, because that's exactly why I put out that Kennedy Space Center update and the little summary of my journey, because it is really, really worth it if you've got the time, if you're close to Florida anyway, or if you just want to have an awesome rocket enthusiast vacation. Go to the Cape, do all the tours as I did, and see all the stuff. There is incredibly much to see there. It is very, very well presented. Like I said, it's split into two parts. So you have the visitor complex, which is kind of an amusement park, but it's really well done, even though it is very sparkly and amazing and wow, it's still very well done. And then on the other side, as a contrast, you have all the old buildings, the history and everything going on when you do the tours, the bus tours. They'll lead you to all the launch pads, and you can see a Redstone rocket on the pad through the window of a blockhouse as it was sitting there when Alan Shepard launched on it. And that is just incredible. Werner von Braun was standing inside that blockhouse watching the rocket launch, and that's something you got to see. So yeah, kudos to you. Go there, visit the place. It's really, really, really worth it. Maybe I can even show you a picture of that blockhouse view, because I don't think I had that on the episode, and it is really, really incredible. The look that you get through that window of the blockhouse was just amazing. Let me just see if I can find that real quick in my... I took a lot of pictures when I was there, that's for sure. There was a lot of stuff to photograph as well, though. It could be somewhere here. Just give me a second if I can find it, because it... Oh yeah, there we go. That's the one I was looking for. How do I could probably just do like this and show you here. Yeah, that is... Let me just put that up in big so you can see what I'm actually talking about. This is the view that you get when you're standing inside the blockhouse at Launch Complex. I don't remember. There are so many of them. But that is basically a window that Werner von Braun and his crew looked through when the Redstone rocket was, which is an ICBM, by the way, and they put a capsule on top. That is a Gemini capsule here on top, and that's where Alan Shepard was sitting, strapped into his seat, waiting for the launch to occur. And it took him a little bit longer on his launch, and he had this famous anecdote of peeing into his spacesuit while waiting for the launch because it took too long. So that is the stuff you see there, and that is really, really worth it. And yeah, like I said, if you've got the time, go there, watch it. It is pretty much awesome. There's nothing in comparison to it, and blew my mind, really did, and Semi's mind too, who's a moderator today here, by the way. It's Stinger NSW, that's the guy I did the trip with, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah, Mercury capsule, I'm sorry, exactly, yeah. Of course, it was a Mercury capsule. It is incredible what you can see there, basically. And you can, in that blockhouse, by the way, you can see a computer. They did the launch calculations with, the in-flight course correction calculations with, and all that kind of stuff. And they were actually proud back in the days that they could fit the computer into one single room. That computer has about the calculation power of a, pocket calculator, not even a smartphone or anything, just a pocket calculator, and it fits into a whole room. And so it's incredible to see with what kind of technology they did this kind of stuff back then. Nowadays we're scared if we only have 10 Mbit internet connection, and back then they launched the whole rocket with a few kilobytes of storage capacity for the whole memory. So it's incredible what they did back then, basically. Yeah. Okay, let me just, after dreaming about my trip again, I really have to do that again in the future. Let me just check something real quick, if we're still on track here. And yep, there's nothing new. Luckily, the standing down today message from SpaceX is from the last attempt. So everything should be fine right now. At least I hope so. And I really hope I got the launch time correct, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me just check something real quick again. that. Just 1 second. What? There we go. I'm kind of confused right now because my browser is not doing what it should do. Give me a second. Got some technical issues here, as it seems. But the stream seems to be... Oh, there's the stream is gone as well. How nice is that? Yeah. So that's that. I don't know if you can hear me still, but my computer seems to be doing crazy stuff here right now. Give me a second. Okay, perfect. My moderator is just telling me that you can hear me just fine, but my browser is acting up, so it might be that I have to restart my browser, which means that the stream would be gone for a second here, because I can't even restart the browser page. So as it seems the browser has some hiccups, I'll have to restart the browser. I'll be back in a minute. I hope so, at least, because I can't work like this. So I'll be right back. Give me a second. What is happening here? So in theory, you should even still be able to see and hear me now, because it shouldn't be related to the browser at all, which I hope it isn't. And I should be back in the live stream command center, and the stream's still up, which is amazing. All right. I had hiccups without hiccups, which is a good thing. So there we go. Let me just put this window up here again. There we go, and that's it, and we're back to normal. Okay. Now. Wait. There we go. Okay. Now everything's working normal. Oh, I'm happy. Thank you, technology. Okay. Yep. Even I just actually just wanted to double check Spaceflight now, and it also says it is 12:16 GMT, so it should be correct. I think it's just SpaceX messing up the times here. So give me just another real quick second, and I'll be answering some questions, because you've already asked a lot of questions, and there we go. Okay. I'm sorry for the hiccup, but we're back, and I was never gone, which is a good thing. So okay, Paul, what did you think of the Saturn V on display? Yeah, it was pretty ridiculously awesome, and it's so huge. It's so I mean, I've seen 1,000 pictures of it and 1,000 videos, and I've seen launches and looked at documentaries about it and all that kind of stuff. But when you see it for real, it is just 10 times bigger than you imagined it to be. It's like a skyscraper in size. So yeah, like you've seen on my last episode, I spent quite some time looking at it and filming it and looking at every bolt and nut and plumbing inside between the stages. That was pretty awesome to see that how they constructed that, and they even have the uppermost level of the launch tower in that exhibition hall, which is also really nice to see. So the whole presentation of everything that this subcontractor does with the Kennedy Space Center visitor complex is really well done. It's basically the three main attractions would be, in my opinion, the Rocket Garden, the Atlantis exhibition, and the Saturn V Center, and all three of them are very well presented. So yeah, I loved it very much. Jamie says, you hear NASA is doing their big upgrade of the satellite that sent and receives data from Voyager 2, as Voyager 2 will be without communication for about 8 months. I haven't heard of that. That's interesting, and I'll research into it. Like I said, I was gone for 10 days, and then after that, of course, I spent a lot of time researching the progress regarding SpaceX's Starship, because they've done a lot of stuff while I was gone, and so I didn't have the time to look into pretty much anything else, and I haven't heard about that yet. So I'll look into it. Thank you very much. I haven't heard of it yet. Richard says, visited Huntsville, Alabama back in 91. The girl I knew there, her father knew the Von Braun family. Oh wow, that is pretty incredible. Was offered a tour of their house at the time, but I said no. Something I truly regret. I said yes. I totally understand that. Yeah, well, back then maybe the implications weren't as easy to see as they are today. But yeah, that is something to have met Von Braun in person, and not only him, the whole scientists team, who were not all from Germany, of course. They did an awesome job. The tour guide that we had on the what was the museum called by the Redstone rockets? There's this little museum where they have a V2 engine in there. I'll have to upload that to my patrons, because I've done awesome footage of that V2 engine, which is completely assembled, which is a rare thing to see in Germany, because the American soldiers, of course, took all the V2 engines. So you can rarely see a fully assembled V2 engine nowadays in Germany, and that one was really good, and he praised the German scientist team a lot. And after the tour ended, I approached him and talked to him for a moment, and I asked him why first of all I thanked him, and then I asked him why he praised the German scientist teams so much, because normally because of the Nazi background of von Braun, well, he wasn't a Nazi, but he did what they told him to do, basically, and because of all that, normally he's not mentioned that much. They avoid mentioning his name and stuff like that, and the tour guide didn't. And I asked him, and he said, yeah, because he's second generation German. So that was pretty awesome. And yeah, sad times back then, but I'm pretty sure that the whole scientist team surrounding von Braun was pretty happy when they went to the United States when the war was over. So yeah, that is very interesting to hear that was actually somebody who knew the von Braun family. That is pretty awesome. Hi Grandmaster, thank you for the super chat. Aussie. We have quite a few Aussies as always, which is awesome to see. And you just put out another super chat. Thank you very much for that too. That is much appreciated. Thank you. That helps a lot. We have a question from Casper Tehitbrink. Hey Felix, how are you? You think SpaceX will succeed this time in launching Starlink? I always think so. And a launch abort is a rare thing to happen. So, and the last one was like I said in the beginning of the stream, the last one was in 2016, which is a long time ago. So, statistically, it shouldn't happen again. That's all I want to say right now. And of course, I hope that they're gonna launch the rocket today, because it costs them money every time they postpone a launch, or in this extreme even have a launch abort. It costs them a lot of money. So I hope that they're gonna succeed today, and the rocket enters orbit as planned, and the booster lands again. Of course, the whole routine. That would be awesome. I think we're going to have a fairing catch attempt today again, as we should have had on Monday. So that would be a nice thing to have. And yeah, it should proceed as planned, but it should have done the same thing on Monday. So we don't know if it's actually going to happen. But yeah, fingers crossed, of course. Thank you for the question. Give me a second. I got something from there we go. I'm going to activate this guy here real quick, because that is SpaceX's latest tweets. And as you can see here, targeting Wednesday, March 18th, 12:16 UTC. So that should be what we're looking for. And that's the time down here in the right corner as well. So it should be the timer, which should be the correct launch time. Do not be irritated by any live stream times again that SpaceX sets up on their YouTube channel. That might be wrong. So Jamie, what about it? Another thing people don't talk about. My microphone arm is in the way. Give me a second. People don't talk about Elon Musk doing his own school, I think, at SpaceX Complex, where some of his kids go to. I didn't know that either. What do you mean with SpaceX Complex, Hawthorne, at the headquarters? They have a school set up for the kids. I've never heard of that. Would be a cool thing, especially right now. It would be very, very useful for him. I haven't heard of that. Spielt mit is saying, Felix, Martin from Space. Oh, Martin from Space Intelligence. Great to see you. Yeah, great to see you too. Thanks for joining. And I still have you guys on Twitter, where you often post really interesting stuff. So if you haven't heard of Space Intelligence yet, it's really worth it following these guys. They have a flourishing Facebook group, and they have a quite interesting, still yet very small Twitter account. So it might be worth following them. They don't cover that much SpaceX exclusively as I do, because most of my reporting, or like 80% of my reporting, is SpaceX right now. They have a bit of a broader spectrum of stuff that they cover, and that makes them really interesting. So if you've got the time, follow Space Intelligence on Twitter. It's really worth it, and it's really nice to see you, Martin. Thanks for joining the stream. Oh, and High Grandmaster is going to bed. It's understandable. You can watch the replay of the stream, and as soon as it ends, of course, it'll be available as a video. So just check that out and see you later. Sleep well. Matt Childs, do you have any connections at SpaceX to where you get information? I do, very little though, because SpaceX is hard to reach. Most of most of the stuff you haven't seen on other channels that I cover is my own research. So it is digging into countless rabbit holes and finding my own conclusions, basically. Connecting the dots between the information that's known, and most of the time it is just a logical approach, and that's what I report on my episodes. So most of it is my own research, or a lot of research that's done by my patrons. They help a lot with researching. They send me a million topics every day, and I can research into like 1% of that, because it is so much that they're sending me, which is much appreciated, and it helps a lot. So as I say every time at the end of the episode, what about it is not just me. I do the editing, or a lot of the editing. My wife helps a lot with the editing. Of course, I do all the recording, and most of the scripting. But the research, I'd say it's 60-70% my work to just connect the dots, but I get a lot of ideas from outside, and that's where that comes from mostly. So if you dig deep enough, you don't really need the connections. I have more connections to insiders in Boca Chica. I've quite a few people by now who have worked there or are still working there, who help me out sometimes, but they're limited with what they can say, of course, which is understandable. And I would never release any information that's not supposed to be released, and that makes it harder too, because sometimes I know something super interesting and I can't release it because it wouldn't be right. And so there's a big mix of all sorts of sources and research done and all that kind of stuff. It keeps me busy. Thank you for the question. It's a good one. Country and Irish fan. What's your thoughts on Project Starshot? Possible video soon, please, please. Starshot is super interesting, and I think I've mentioned them at least on an episode, but that was like 6 months ago or so. The problem with Starshot is that it's a pretty simple concept. It's CubeSats, like really, really small CubeSats that are being accelerated with a laser beam, I think, and they reach almost relativistic speeds this way. And that would be actually a method of sending a probe to a different star system, as incredible as it might seem, but theoretically and also in practice, in my opinion, it is possible. It's just a matter of somebody spending the money on it, because you would need a rather big laser array to accelerate the probe, but it would be technically possible, and Starshot is working on that. But the problem is with Starshot, as I just said, it's explained in 2 or 3 sentences, and there is not that much known beyond that right now about the project. Not that I would know. So it would be really hard to put it into a topic. Maybe as soon as they start actually building hardware or going deeper into timelines and stuff like that, I will definitely do an episode about it. But right now it is just a thought concept, and it's a funded thought concept, but still it's just a thought concept, and there are not that many hard facts, and so yeah, it's difficult to make an episode about it. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting project, and as soon as there's more, I'll put it on an episode. Thank you for the question. That's a good one. Very interesting project. Hutton is saying, what do you think about Elon sees things usual people don't see? It's because, that's what makes the guy so interesting, in my opinion. He thinks outside of the box. Normally, his ideas aren't even like, boom, oh my God. It's more like, why didn't anybody think about it like this? And it's because he, and also his team, because don't forget, not all the ideas come from Elon. Quite a few good ideas come from him, but there's also a lot of people in the background. There are always. If something works out really well, it's not just one person. But Elon definitely pulls the thing forward, that's for sure. And the crazy thing about his ideas is that he always is able to reduce it to a simple, uninfluenced base. That's how I'd describe it. Well, it's hard to describe it. When he dissects, he gets an idea. Well, it would be cool if we had a transporter like in Star Trek, and then he would go about. He would make a clean slate, not look at anything anybody has done before, and start making his own ideas and his own concepts. And he also is able to take into account anything that somebody brings up to him, even if it comes from the cleaning lady. He won't care. If it's a good idea, he'll implement it. And so he's very open-minded, and that's all these different factors, in my opinion, lead to him always being one step ahead, because he's not this self-entitled, established guy. He always lets every idea in, and he considers everything, and he starts with a clean slate. And so I think that's the main reason why his ideas are always so, yeah. Why everybody's standing there being like, why didn't somebody do that before? Because he just ignores everything else. He ignores the tradition, and he just tries it out, and then it works. So I think that's the main reason. That's a good question, though. Thank you. Koga Man, hey Felix, how are you doing? That's a good question. Thank you. I'm fine. I'm healthy, and I'm waiting for a rocket launch, so everything's fine. My Texan rash is almost gone now. I had some bad peeling on my neck. It was, I spent 6-7 days in Florida, and there was bright sunshine and warm temperatures and everything. We were outside every day, of course, at Kennedy Space Center, and everything was fine. I just got a tan. And then I spent 1 day in Boca Chica, and the sun burned me to hell. I was roasted, and that was, that was pretty bad. And but that's gone too. So everything's fine. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be in my schedule again, because it was kind of, I missed two things when I was in the States: my wife and my family, of course, and working on the channel. Because to be honest, I'm into this. It is a lot of fun, and I couldn't wait to continue, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm eagerly working on Thursday's episode right now, and already have ideas for the Monday episode, and so on and so forth. I don't know what I'm gonna do on the 24th, because that's gonna be my birthday. I'm gonna turn 40 on Monday, on Tuesday, which is incredible, but. It should fit into the schedule. I'll have to see if I have to shift the Thursday episode or something like that, or make it a little shorter. But anything else, I'm back to the old schedule, and I'm really happy about that. Thank you for the question. That's nice of you to ask. Lonely Hugo, don't be so lonely, even though maybe you're in quarantine right now. Do you know why there was an abort the first attempt? Sorry if this has already been asked. Well, it's been asked a million times, of course, even on the last stream, but I'll still bring it up again. It is because so what we were able to observe was the countdown going down, turbopumps spooling up, pushing propellant through the rocket motors, not igniting. There was no ignition, no nothing. It was just unburned propellant being exhausted through the engine bells, and no ignition occurring, and the onboard flight computer aborting the ignition sequence, and that led to a launch abort, and that's what happened. Power failure, I think, engine power failure or something is the official statement that we got from SpaceX, but that was that was on the live stream. That's the only thing that SpaceX has said so far. So it's really hard to tell what exactly happened. But what we can say is that the turbopump spooled up, pumped the fuel through the engine, nothing ignited, and some sort of value put back by internal sensors in the engines had a different or wrong value, something that they didn't expect, and the onboard flight computer turned off the ignition sequence, and that's it. So we haven't had any official news, but that's all I can say about that. I wish SpaceX would update us on it, because it would be really interesting to know, but it could have been anything from a faulty sensor to an engine not starting up correctly. It could have been anything. So it's really hard to nail down without any more official information. That's a good question, and even though I've answered it quite a few times, it still is a valid question. Thank you. Eris, hey man, love your work. Cross your fingers for this launch. Yes, I am. Question: what does the future look like for What About It? How do you plan to grow your channel? Well, like I said on the Boca Chica live stream, I am really looking for an editor right now, because I spend a lot of time moving little audio and video snippets around to make an episode. It's fun to do that, but it blocks me a lot of the time. Like 60% of my time spent on the channel right now, I spend editing. And even though I like the editing, it takes away a lot of time for interviews, research, away missions, like going somewhere and interviewing people there, or making nice footage, or even researching more complex topics, because stuff like that, what Tim Dodd is doing right now. I met him in Florida, and we talked a little bit about his upcoming episode about rocket pollution, which is an insane project. There's so much stuff going into that, so many rabbit holes to dive down, and so much to research, and I wouldn't have the time for that. And that's why I'm looking for an editor right now to be able to realize all the ideas to get the channel a bit further. I need an editor. So if you know somebody who could edit what I'm doing on my episodes, what you see every Monday and Thursday, it doesn't have to be more, it doesn't have to be more creative, we can continue from there. But if you know anybody who could honestly do that, like not your cousin who never finds a job, but somebody who can actually do it. If you know somebody, tell them to write an email to whataboutit.contact@gmail.com. Maybe one of the moderators can put that into the chat. That's my email address. and I'll be looking through it because that's what I need right now the most. It's an editor to free some time up to actually do some more of the stuff. But as always, I'm improving a little bit every episode. As you've seen recently, I've implemented a lot of new animations and stuff like that, and I'm refining those further. On Thursday's episode, I'm doing a little experiment with, I'm going to upload an episode in 1440p, so you'll be able to select higher resolution, and even in 1080p, which is the most widely used resolution. The quality of the video should be a little bit better, and I'm looking into 4K cameras right now, but it is very, very expensive. So if you want to send me a super chat, that's what it's going to go into right now. I need a 4K camera and all that kind of stuff. So there's always something I'm working on, and that's what makes the project so interesting as well, because there are many things that I still want to improve. And I've got some interviews coming up with Robert Zubrin, for example, which I'm really looking forward to. So but then I need time for that kind of stuff. And like I said, so if you know somebody who could edit, point them towards me, tell them to write an email to me, and I'll check them out. So yeah, that's the state of the channel right now. Thank you. Good question. Richard Frost. Hey, did you know that Mars 2020 rover will not only video record the landing as did previous, but they have cameras capturing the parachute deployment too. Lots of extra landing video camera edit. Yeah, I know that, and I'm really looking forward to that, to the footage they're gonna do when it lands, which is still a little bit out. Let me just drink something real quick because I'm talking so much again. I've also heard that the cameras on board for on the ground are better now that they were on Curiosity. What was the name of the 2020 rover? They gave it a name already. Perseverance, I think. So we can actually we can call it by its name now. It's not the 2020 rover anymore. I think it was Perseverance. Is that correct? I don't remember. Perseverance, exactly. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's kind of the same thing as Curiosity, but it's got a changed mission goal. The mission goal is now to actually look for signs of life, not just analyze its surroundings and see if there could have been possible life. This time it is all about finding that life. So that's a different goal. And it's got lots of different new and updated hardware. It's a bit heavier too, I think. It's got different wheels, which is very important because that was the weak point of Curiosity. If you might have heard that it destroyed its wheels while it was going over rocky terrain, and so that should be improved. Yeah, Perseverance is a really nice mission, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Even though we might at one point have astronauts there, the rovers are what we got right now. So, yep, good thing. We have a few more super chats. We have High Grandmaster Lord Zeronius giving me lots of coffee money. Thank you very much for that. That is much appreciated. Happy birthday in advance. I look 25 to 30. Yeah, thank you. When I was 25, I hated the fact that I looked so young because everybody thought I was like 18, and now every year that I get older, I like it more and more because people still think I'm like 30 years old or so. So yeah, but no, I'm hitting 40 soon, which is incredible. But that's how it goes. Time goes on. Thank you very much. Starlink audio is up. It's the mission control audio, I'm guessing. I don't have that on my mission control audio. There we go. Let me just bring that up real quick. Maybe we can listen into something. Right now I don't hear anything. Just an annoying tone. Yeah, there's nothing there. I'll keep it in the background. Maybe we can hear something interesting. But right now, There's nothing there. Oh well. How much do you have left to get the 4K camera? Quite a bit. It's the one that I want to have starts at, I think, 3,000 euros, which is insanely expensive. And right now I have about 1,000. So there's a lot still missing on that. And I need a few other things as well. I need new monitors for my desk because I'm still using very old Logitech gaming speakers on my desk. And to get a good audio mastering, you need either really, really good headphones, which I already have, but those I find it really annoying to wear headphones for 10 hours because that's how long editing an episode takes normally. And so I want to have better speakers for my desk, and a studio is really expensive. If I'd known that before, I might have never started the channel. But that's how it goes, step by step. And like I said, the next projects are the 4K camera. I'm using a Sony Alpha 7 II right now, which is a really, really nice camera, but it only does 1920 by 1080, which limits the quality of the episodes a lot. If you can record in 4K, even the 1080p resolution output will be like 10 times better. Just watch Everyday Astronauts episodes and you'll see that it is like very fine, very, very good resolution image with like 10 times better quality than what I can put out. So that's what I want to achieve on the long term, but it'll take a while. So and I'm used to that. So that's all good. Thank you very much. Is your name on that chip on the Mars rover? Of course it is. I think it's the 4th mission that NASA has provided that service that you can actually put your name on these missions, and I've had mine and all of my family members' names on it every time. Yes, I love that idea. I nailed your name. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes I'm lucky. Yep, and again, if you've got the time, hit the like button because it actually helps others to find the stream, and it is something easily done. It costs no money, and there is 1,053 people watching right now, and we only have 419 likes right now. So click the like button, even if you're not typing in the chat or something. It's just that little mouse click. It helps me, it helps others find the stream, and it's an easy thing to do. Thank you very, very much. We have another super chat from Take 6 Back. Thank you very much. Hi from Rowan. Who's Rowan? Is that your name or is it a country? I have never heard of a country, so I'll assume it's your name. Thank you very, very, very much for the super chat. That's much appreciated. And Edward is pitching some money in for the camera. That is very, very much appreciated as well. Every dollar, every buck helps. It's still a small channel and it is kind of hard to find the funding for all this kind of stuff. But I'm doing it full time, which is a nice thing already. So Thank you for the super chat. That's much appreciated. Okay, the next name is going to be really hard. Blixkpv. Yeah, cool name. Do you know the game Occupy Mars by Pyramid Games? I don't. Should I? I've played quite a few space games. I love Space Engineers, Kerbal Space Program, all sorts of sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi guy anyway. When I watch movies, 80% of the time it's going to be a sci-fi movie. So, and that's the same with games. Either it's a survival game or it's a sci-fi game of any sort. But I've never heard of Occupy Mars. No. Hunter, thank you very much for the money. New camera will be much better. Yes, the new camera will improve the channel by like leaps and bounds. It will be much, much better, but like I said, it's also very expensive, so it'll probably my estimate right now would be half a year or so, but I'll put everything and that's what I do with my patron money as well, and you can ask them. I always post what I buy, what kind of equipment I buy with their money, so I'll put all the super chats you put in here today. I'm not gonna use this for anything else. I always put that aside for what I've asked for it. Basically, when I say I want to buy a camera and you give me a super chat, I'm going to actually spend it on a camera. I'm not going to go bathing somewhere or something or have a nice pizza or something. So you can be pretty sure that that's what it's going to be used for. Thank you very, very much. And waiting for the dinosaur to make its appearance. I ordered my wife to keep Alex down because I didn't want to have another dinosaur delivery today. But it might, as you know, as well still happen. So we don't know. But right now everything's quiet. My eldest son is playing with his Legos. Last time I saw Helena, she was making a salad out of these little cloth vegetables you have for babies. She loves that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure what Alex is doing right now, but there's no dinosaur delivery coming up. So, but still, thank you very much for the super chat. Matthew Cleverell. Love the show, Felix. You live among the gods of, of Scott Manley and Tomorrow. I've met Scott Manley before, but he's got like 1 million subscribers, so he's a different league. He's a really nice guy, and I had loads of fun interviewing him at the ESA Open Day at STEC in the Netherlands last fall, which was an awesome experience, not just because of Scott Manley, but Scott Manley was a highlight, definitely. And I was the only person interested in interviewing him there. That was crazy. Everybody was, like, there were felt 50 reporters wanting to talk to the Apollo astronauts, of course, because it's a very, very, very cool thing to do, and I did the same. But nobody was interested in talking to Scott Manley, and I totally didn't get it. So I actually convinced another social media. It was a woman from Astronauticast, I think, that is an Italian podcast and YouTube channel about space, and I convinced her that Scott Manley is the guy to talk to. And then it was 2 people interviewing Scott Manley, which was an awesome experience because we had a lot more time to spend with him, of course, than as compared to the Apollo astronauts, where you had like 5 minutes or so to talk to them, and then next guy comes in, talks to them, and so on and so forth. And with Scott Manley, nobody was interested, and that was kind of funny because for me, he also, like, obviously for you, he is one of the legends amongst the space YouTubers. The guy is really, really smart, and he does an awesome job. So if you don't know Scott Manley by any chance, go check out his channel. But I think everybody here does know Scott Manley. Yeah, thank you. Very nice. How much time do we have left before I keep talking and talking? 23 minutes. Okay, let me real quick mention these other super chats. This is so nice of you guys that you're giving me the camera money. That is really, like, insanely much appreciated. Don't get me wrong, this means a lot for me. It really does. Hunter Eggard is saying, I'll become a patron. I love supporting space. Thank you very much. And as soon as you become a patron, even if it's just $1 per month, which I just implemented because I want to keep out the trolls, to be honest, because it would have to be a lot of $1 patrons to actually make a difference. But actually, it's actually starting to make a difference by now, which is cool. So if you want to get access to the Discord, which is really, really worth it, because all these cool moderators right now there in the chat, all of them are patrons, and all of them are really cool guys, and there's a lot more there, and we talk every day. I'm on the voice channels as well, so if you want to talk to me while two-way communication on the Discord. Here I can just read questions and all that kind of stuff. On the Discord you can actually talk to me, which is a lot of fun, and it's my main way of communicating with fans of the channel and supporters of the channel, which is amazing for me to be able to do that on the Discord. So if you become even a $1 patron, you get access to the Discord, and there's a lot of people there with a lot of rabbit hole digging and nice conversations and lots of fun, and me on the voice chats basically almost every day. So it might be worth it. Richie is giving me another super chat for the pizza. Thank you very, very much. Okay, and I've one of my moderators is telling me that there was the general question how much the camera will cost. The camera will be around 3,000 euros, I think, with everything. So it is really expensive, and I'm pretty sure we're not gonna get that together tonight. But every buck you send me helps, and I'll put it away for the camera. And yeah, the sooner the better, because right now the quality, that's one of my biggest That's one of my biggest things. I look at the episodes, and I'm thinking like, it would be really good to have this in 4K, but the 4K camera is very expensive. So thank you for the super chat. It helps immensely. Thank you very, very much. And I get a lot of super chats. I'm not asking for this, guys. If you don't have the money, if you're quarantined with corona or something, save the money for bread, for medication, or for that. I'm being dragged into this. I didn't want to make this a fundraiser, but of course, if you want to give me a super chat, I'm going to be really happy about it, because it helps me to get the camera. So now let me answer more questions here. I do know Subnautica, Super Kartoffel. I was able to say that correctly. Do you know Subnautica by Unknown Worlds Entertainment? I love Subnautica. I'd say that the one thing that surprised me about Subnautica back then was, first of all, that this really small team was able to make such a good-looking game, and secondly, its atmosphere is insane. I found myself looking behind me while playing the game whenever I heard some cracking or screeching or this tap 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 noise that you can sometimes hear when you're in your underwater base, or in your submarine diving down into the depths and stuff. If you don't know Subnautica, it's a really good game. Yes, I do know that game. Robert, thank you very much for the super chat. Too good pizza cost in Calliope, Australia. I'm gonna put the money into the camera fund. Thank you very much. And Trex, thank you for the super chat. Supporting Felix New Equipment. Thank you very much. It helps a lot. To help with the camera, it says Nuova Zeta. Thank you very, very much. Alex Rex is saying, hi Felix, thanks for giving a comment to my virtual flyover of Boca Chica. Oh yeah, I remember that was yesterday. It is awesome, and if you can put more details into it, I know it's an insane amount of work probably, but that's what I would love to see the most from that thing, and update it regularly. It's a really, really nice idea. There are lots of Starship models out there and that kind of stuff, but there's nobody doing anything about the two facilities. And so if you've got the time, you obviously have got the talent, because you've got everything right. Make frequent updates. I would even use that on my episodes. It's awesome. It's really, really nice. Maybe put labels in it and stuff like that. It's pretty good. That's why I mentioned it. So thank you. Good job. Hendon, take the money. We want your content to keep going and keep improving. I'm really bad with taking money. That's the reason why I'm not used to this, and I'm flattered and I'm humbled, and I thank you very, very much for the super chats. That is much appreciated, and it really does help. Money. Miko gave me a super chat for the camera. Thank you very much. Oh my God, this is becoming a fundraiser, which is insane. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Ari Audio Reaction is giving me 5 Schweizer Franken, I think. Money. You are the best. I'd love to give up my boat for you. Thank you. Brent is giving a Canadian dollar. Thank you very much. Leonard Liverpool, next week I'm becoming a patron. Thank you. That is, like I said, that is really, really nice. If you wanna join the Discord as well, if you don't have one yet, make a Discord account, link it up on the Patreon page, and everything else will happen automatically. Next time you open up your Discord client, you'll see the What About It channel. You'll have the correct rights. Everything works with a bot, and it's super easy. So you don't have to do anything, and you can get access to the Discord, which gives you access to the hardcore of the army, which is an awesome place to be, in my opinion. There's not a single person on that Discord where I would say I wouldn't want to have this person there, and that's why I have that $1 barrier in there as well, because I've seen other Discords where you can just join. It's a nice thing because you've got a lot more people, but it's also, in my opinion, you have a lot of spam in there too, and that's what you don't have on the What About It Discord, and that's why I enjoy it so much. And so I would recommend becoming a $1 patron and getting access to the Discord, because that's where everything happens. There's inside information there. I'm on the voice channel basically almost every day, and also playing games. If you're into gaming, I'm gaming there as well. We're playing The Forest right now. My wife and I are playing The Forest. We've played Ark. We have an own Ark server going and all that kind of stuff. So you see all kinds of really nice things there. And And I'm really behind on reading out all these super chats. Thank you very, very, very much, guys. This is amazing. This is incredible. I've never seen this before, and I'm humbled. Anyone I'm missing right now, it's just because you're giving me too many of these super chats. It's hard to read them all out, and the launch is going to happen really soon, and I'm very, very grateful for this. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's a hard time reading all of this. Greetings from Georgia. Enjoy your show. That's what Pete says. David says, nicely done, sir. Thank you very much. Edward says, keep up the good work in 4K. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Scott Clausen is saying, supporting a humble, dedicated, and talented space news provider is worth every penny. Thank you very, very much. Kogaman, I don't even know what this is, I think it's Hungarian. No, but that would be euros. I totally don't know what you just sent me, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is $1.50. It's not much, but you rock. Thank you, Mr. Earthling. What am I supposed to say? What is that supposed to be? I've never heard that before. Mateo gave me a little bit. Thank you very much for the super chat. And it doesn't matter how much it is. I love it all equally. Thank you very much. Mark Wolf is saying, hey, great work. Countdown for a new camera. Yeah, I've been saving for that camera for the last 4 months or so. So because it's really expensive. And if I'd known before, I wouldn't have bought I would have bought the A7 too, because I wouldn't have had the money for the 4K camera in the beginning either. So, but it's gonna come, and the more the faster I get the money, the faster you'll be able to see this show in 4K, which is gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be a huge improvement. Don't you have any normal questions anymore, people? This is insane. Thank you. Mitchell Tibbets gives me $5 Canadian. Let's get him a new camera. Let's go, guys. Thank you very, very, very much. It's much appreciated. It really is. All right, let me just real quick. You're making me. This is. Thank you. Okay, let me just look into the. Wait 1 second. This is the nicest thing I've ever seen on any live chat so far. Thank you very, very much. 1 second. Okay. 16 minutes ago, SpaceX tweeted Falcon 9 Starlink satellites and weather are go for launch T-30. So we're all still good, and pretty soon there we go. Pretty soon. Let me turn this down real quick because we'll have the trailer in the beginning anyway. Thank you for the super chats again. What happens? I've got a question. Thank you. Aris is saying, what happens if today fails as well? We'll have a new launch date. I don't know when that's gonna be, because it always depends on other rockets being launched, but right now I think the window is clear, so it could be another 3 days or so until they try to launch again. So, Benedict, thank you for the super chat. That is much appreciated. Hi, Grandmaster, thank you for the super chat again. Yes, and as he said, make sure to hit the like button, because that helps others find the stream. And Hunter says he's just become a patron, or he will become a patron. Like I said, it helps. It helps, first of all, it helps the channel, and secondly, it gives you access to the Discord. Make sure to make a Discord account, link it up on the Patreon page. If you need help with that, I made a tutorial about that, how to do this. There's a little video. It's super easy to do. Even if you don't know Discord, it's still worth it, and you don't have to talk to me there as well. If you're kind of afraid to get into it or something, just install Discord and look into it, and you'll find your way, because it's a great community in there, and there's a lot of nice talk in there, and it's like I said, it's a really nice community in there. It's worth it. And the super chat craziness continues, and I'm still super grateful. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for the best YouTube channel on SpaceX. Thank you very much. Brittany, thank you very much for the super chat. It's something. It's crazy. I've never seen that before. Thank you very much. Ares again. How will 2 fails in a row affect SpaceX going forward, including Starship investments? Well, first of all, Elon Musk has already said that we might not see Starlink going public. At least that's what I think Elon said on the satellite conference, I think. I'm not too sure when he said that, but I'm pretty sure he did say that. So Gwynne Shotwell said that they're going to make Starlink public, and then Elon Musk kind of negated that again by saying that they don't want to make it public. So it's kind of hard to say. But it won't. It's just one Starlink launch. I think it won't affect them big time going forward. But what it could affect is that due to the certain virus crisis we're having right now, it could mean that launch would be postponed even further. Because if there are measures taken, and NASA is already starting to take measures against the pandemic, if these measures increase towards the pads and towards the ability of launching rockets, we might see a time without rocket launches. And if SpaceX doesn't launch this Starlink launch before that time window closes, if it does close, that could mean a rather big delay. But even that, it would be a bad thing to have, but I think it wouldn't be terrible for SpaceX. At least I hope so. Adrian is saying, just saw your first video. You were so awkward. You are much comfortable now. Yeah, I always call it the dark ages. That's how I started the channel. I prepared for it for half a year, and it came to me that preparation can't be done as good as I want the quality of the channel to be. So I just started with the first episode, and that's what it looked like. So yeah. It's worth watching. If you haven't watched episode 1 yet, compare it to the latest one, and you'll see how much I improved on the YouTube channel in the last 9 months. So that was an insane ride, definitely. Yep, and I know SpaceX is live, but it's just a trailer, so I'm going to put it up now. Give me a second.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, March 18th, and you're looking at a live view of
There we go.
as it awaits its 8:16 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Welcome back to SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. My name is Jesse Anderson, and I'm a lead manufacturing engineer here at SpaceX. You're watching a live webcast for our 6th Starlink mission and our 6th mission overall this year in 2020. If you joined us on Sunday morning, you know that we had a standard auto abort triggered right before liftoff. At SpaceX, we intentionally to ensure engines reach correct power levels. On Sunday morning, we had an out-of-family engine reading, which caused an automatic abort. Typically, we would try again the next day, but today was the first available day on the range, so here we are. As a reminder, today we're launching a set of 60 Starlink satellites. Starlink is designed to provide high-speed, low-latency internet all over the globe, particularly in remote or rural areas where connectivity is limited or completely unavailable. Today's mission will also be the first time we are flying a booster for the 5th time. The most recent flight of this booster was our 2nd Starlink mission back in November. Just like our first stages, we are also starting to reuse our fairings. Today we're flying a reused fairing which previously flew on our first Starlink mission. With that, all systems are go for an
Hello, my name is Michael Andrews and I'm a supply chain supervisor here at SpaceX. And this is our Falcon 9, vertical once again at Launch Pad 39A down at Florida's Kennedy Space Center. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle, the part of the vehicle that looks to be covered with soot, is our reflown first stage. This first stage uses its 9 Merlin M1D engines to power the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere out to the edge of space. And today we'll be attempting to recover that first stage again, actually for the 5th time on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which you can currently see. It's stationed about 350 nautical miles northeast of the Cape. Above that first stage is our black interstage band. It connects the 2nd stage at the top, which will carry our 60 Starlink satellites to a deployment altitude of 440 kilometers above the Earth's surface. From there, they will be deployed and use their individual propulsion systems to move up to their operational altitude of 550 kilometers. The Falcon 9 you see on the pad has been loading propellants since T-minus 35 minutes. As a reminder, we use a mixture of rocket-grade kerosene, known as RP-1, and super-chilled liquid oxygen, known as LOX, to power the Falcon 9. Currently, our RP-1 is nearly fully loaded on the first stage, and it is 100% loaded on the second stage. LOX loading, however, is still underway on both stages, and that will actually continue to be topped off right until the last minute of our countdown. And at the very top is our stack of 60 Starlink satellites. They're safely enclosed inside that 17-foot diameter payload fairing. It's the pointed cone on the very top of the rocket. And like we've attempted in our past couple launches, we'll be attempting again today to recover the fairing pieces again with our 2 recovery ships, Mystery and Mischief. They're currently positioned in the North Atlantic Ocean off the coast. Weather conditions today, we do have a few scattered cumulus clouds, but nothing gating us from today's launch. Winds, both at ground and altitude, are nominal. The Air Force range is prepared to support today's mission. So with that, our vehicle, our Starlink satellites, the weather and range are all looking green for an on-time liftoff just a few minutes from now.
As I mentioned at the top of the webcast, today's launch will be the first fifth flight of a Falcon 9 booster, and if we land it successfully, it will mark the 51st recovery since we started landing our boosters back in December of 2015. Reusability is core to our here at SpaceX, which brings me to our efforts underway in Boca Chica, Texas, where we are building and testing Starship, our next generation spacecraft. If you joined us Sunday for our first attempt of this mission, we shared an update on Starship and the progress that the teams in Boca Chica are making. The local team has executed a variety of tests designed to push the limits of the vehicle, and the site continues to change daily as production ramps up. We have a series of upcoming static fire and short flight tests with our serial number 3 test article, and longer flights with serial number 4, but ramping up our Starship and Raptor production line is what matters most. The design goal for Starship is 3 flights per day on average, which equates to roughly 1,000 flights per year at greater than 100 tons per flight. This means every 10 ships would yield 1 megaton per year to orbit. This is a significant effort, and we are looking for highly skilled engineers and welders to help us make this a reality. If you're interested in joining the team, please take a look at spacex.com/careers.
We're currently T-minus 4.5 minutes from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of its countdown. Back at T-minus 7 minutes, our engine chill process began. This is where we allow a small amount of that super chilled liquid oxygen to flow into the Merlin engine turbo pumps prior to the full flow of liquid oxygen into the vehicle. You have to realize that our RP-1 is coming in at about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, but that liquid oxygen is less than negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This engine chill helps us avoid any kind of thermal shocks to our system. Liquid oxygen is also what's creating the white clouds you see around Falcon 9. We continue to load that super chilled LOX into the stage just before liftoff, but when that LOX comes into contact with the ambient air around it, and right below the fairing is our cradle. It's those arms that hold the vehicle in place. They just opened up at around T-minus 4.5 minutes. And right now, the transporter erector, that vertical truss structure, is starting to slowly retract a few degrees. It may be hard to see, but guaranteed this retraction is enough for Falcon 9 to clear the pad. In terms of propellant, the first and second stages, when you add up that kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen, it's 1 million pounds. When you add up that kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen, it's 1 million pounds of propellant. That vehicle will finish prop loading at T-minus 2 minutes, with the first stage LOX being at 100% full. And the last call out you'll hear before go launch is at T-minus 1 minute. You'll hear that Falcon 9 is in startup mode. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Our Starlink payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is still looking good and the range is green for launch, so all that's left to do is listen in to the last few minutes of our countdown.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit here so you can hear my voice better. So basically it's the same thing as last time, and somebody pointed out that they see less vapor surrounding the rocket. That could also be due to dew point in the area. The weather changes and different dew points make the vapor more or less visible. Different wind directions change that too. So I think normally a rocket should always vent the same amount of fuel at a certain stage. So would be kind of strange if it vented a lot more, like volume wise, on Monday. So looks good so far. We are 1 minute and 40 seconds away from the launch this time, and I'm really hoping that this is gonna actually launch. And I'm gonna make the Starman disappear here for a second, and my picture size is good. See, there's a little bit more venting. There is surprisingly little ground winds right now. The air is almost standing still there, which is really good for a launch. Yeah, that's some wake-up call there. We have startup. Let's see what happens this time. And 14 minutes into flight, we're already going to have the separation. So we're not, as on Monday's episode, we're not going to have... Very good. Go for launch. We're not going to have any coverage of the fairing catch attempt, because that's 14 minutes after. And the live stream should have likely ended by then. 25. What do you think? Is it going to lift off this time?
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Yes! That's just incredible every time. Come on.
It's T plus 40 seconds, and we've just had liftoff of our Falcon 9 vehicle, taking our
Power and telemetry
Starlink
nominal.
payload to its targeted deployment orbit. We are now throttling down and throttling back up in preparation for max Q, which is coming up here in about 10 seconds or so. Max Q is the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle sees throughout ascent, so this is the largest structural load that the vehicle will see. Should hear that call out in about 5 seconds.
Maximum aerodynamic pressure.
And there's that call out for max Q, confirmation that we've just passed through max Q. Coming up in about a minute, we will have 3 events in rapid succession. The first of which being main engine cutoff, or what we call MECO. This is where all 9 of our M1D engines shut off and slow the vehicle down for the following event, which is stage separation. And that's when the first stage separates from the second stage. And then finally, the lighting of our second stage MVAC engine, which we call SES-1, or second engine start 1. Now, if you've been following our Starlink missions, you know that we've reduced the number of burns on the second stage for these missions from 2 burns down to just 1 single burn. This allows the second stage to provide 70% of the velocity needed for this mission, which allows the first stage to use less fuel and thus making first stage recovery much easier. So today we will again only be doing 1 burn of that second stage engine. Again,
And remember, this is flight number 5 for this booster.
Stage separation and SES-1.
That's just incredible. There we go.
Go on.
Stage separation
Woo!
confirmed.
That is something.
ignition.
And there we've just had MECO and stage separation. That stage separation confirms the successful 5th use of our first stage booster. And you can see on your right screen that second stage MVAC engine lighting up and taking that second stage to its targeted orbit. And we're just a few seconds away from fairing deploy. Again, this fairing was used once
Fairing
before on a
separation
very
confirmed.
first Starlink mission. And there is
Awesome.
the visual confirmation of fairing deploy. So this means that we've successfully reused this fairing. So now let's see if Miss Tree and Miss Chief can catch those fairing halves today. We likely won't have that live view since fairing touchdown will happen past the conclusion of this morning's webcast, but stay tuned to our social media for updates later this morning.
Stage 2 is on a nominal trajectory.
Okay, just real quick, Edulisses had a question. Does it feel different now? Because I've watched a launch live. Yes, it does. It makes it more real. There we go. Everything looks nominal so far, and
For those of you just joining us, good morning and welcome. We just had a successful liftoff of our
Awesome.
Falcon 9 about 4 minutes ago. There's a lot going on right now. On the right-hand side of your screen, our second stage. Its Merlin vacuum engine is currently burning and will continue to do so for a few minutes. It's carrying 60 Starlink satellites for eventual payload deploy. But we're going to focus the next few minutes on the left-hand side of the screen with our first stage. Currently, right now, after stage separation, that first stage is boosting, still gliding up without any engine power. It's hitting apogee just about now, and for the next few seconds, it's going to start to free fall down to the Earth's surface for an attempted first stage recovery on our drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean.
it's just incredible. I'm going to turn down the volume here real quick again. It's just incredible to see this. Oh, give me a second.
For the first of 2 engine burns on that first stage to aid our recovery, the first of which is coming up in about 90 seconds. It's known as our entry burn. We fire 3 of the 9 Merlin engines in the opposite direction the way we're heading. We do this in order to slow down the vehicle about 25% before we hit the dense part of the atmosphere. Not performing this burn would put unnecessary strain on our first stage.
Thank you, Grandmaster, for the super chat again. That is just incredible. Thank you very, very much. So now, as you just said, the booster has just hit apogee, which means it's got a ballistic flight curve, and that's the top point of that curve is called apogee.
We're just at about T plus 6 minutes. We're a little more than 45 seconds away from that engine burn. It only lasts about 10 seconds.
And like you said, the booster is now getting ready for
And
an
although
entry
our
burn,
first stage only takes a few minutes to get from its apogee down to the Earth's surface, our 2 fairing halves takes much longer. Please stay posted with our social media for updates on those recoveries.
Yep, like I said, there won't be any live coverage of the fairing catch attempt, which is a shame, but that's how it goes with these short missions. And as you can see, the booster is already picking up quite a bit of speed, reducing its altitude real quick now.
We're about 15 seconds away from that entry burn. We're going to wait for that visual confirmation the burn started and call out that that engine burn was successful.
See a few bits and pieces fly away there. Didn't look like ice to me, but that's it's normal for a Falcon booster to lose all sorts of stuff while re-entering.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
There we go.
Stage 2 continues to follow a nominal trajectory.
Now we'll see if it can make that landing. Condensate on the camera should disappear real
Stage
soon.
1, entry burn shut down.
Our entry burn has just completed. The next step is our landing burn. It's about 90 seconds from now. In terms of velocity reduction, with the remaining velocity, the denser part of the atmosphere actually slows our Falcon 9 by 80%, and the landing burn achieves just that last bit of reduction down to 0.
wow, that's a
And
better
although we're
picture.
focused on first stage recovery at the moment, at T plus 9 minutes, a little bit less than that, our second stage, its engine will cut off. We'll then confirm it's in good orbit, and we'll then begin the preparations for payload deploy.
That's a very bright picture there. Can't see anything in it.
Starting terminal guidance.
We're about 10 seconds away from that landing burn call out. We'll sit tight and see if we can get any feed of that event.
Yeah, that would be good. Want to see the landing, please. The last Starlink landing had just this incredible
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
landing footage.
We're still waiting on call out and confirmation for that first stage, but that's our secondary mission. Right now we'll focus on our primary mission with that second stage and our Starlink satellites. We're waiting for that confirmation of second engine cutoff.
There it is.
We have Seco 1.
Seems we're not getting any footage of the landing. It would be kind of sad.
Our cutoff has completed. We're now waiting for confirmation of good orbit before we begin payload deploy.
Landing should have already occurred. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Telemetry is... And second stage just looks nominal.
Expected loss of signal.
So we've achieved that good orbit for our
Expected
second
acquisition
stage,
of signal
but we're not in the right
development.
position in that orbit yet. Second stage is now going to coast in this orbit for a few minutes. During this time,
Overall
you're going to
position
see
is
the second stage is going to start to spin along its central axis. This gives the Starlink satellites the momentum they need to space themselves out over time after they deploy. Think of it as if you were hanging on the edge of a merry-go-round and you jumped off and it slings you out. We use this natural deployment, and it prevents us from having to install complex and heavy separation mechanisms on each and every satellite. So while we wait for that position to be achieved, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll return at T plus 13 minutes, 45 seconds.
I love how they always give these simple... Let me turn that down a little bit. How they always give these simple explanations for their complicated orbit calculations. It slings you out, and you'll kind of be settled in a new way. Yeah, that's not that easy at all. But it seems like they're doing a good job right now. Second stage coasting, as we just heard, and deployment should be rather soon. We haven't seen any footage of the landing yet, which is kind of unsettling, to be honest, because normally we either see a camera on board on the booster or something on the ground on the ship, and we haven't seen anything. Maybe it didn't make it. Hopefully it did. It's really hard to tell right now. So there we go. I'm just gonna turn the volume down here a little bit so we can maybe chat a little bit about what we just saw. And there was no landing call out. No, not that I heard anything. Maybe they need a bigger boat. Well, to be honest, it's launch number 5, and then of course landing number 4, landing number 5, of course, and actually it should be a 1048.5. Go be 1048.5, which is the incredible thing. It's never been done before, and it's already in the record books. Even if it doesn't do the landing, it's launch number 5. That's in the books. I saw the booster spinning weirdly as well, and Adrian just pointed that out. I saw that too. I didn't want to mention it yet, but I think so too. It at least had some trouble. At least had some trouble. And we'll have to wait and see. I'll just turn the volume up a little bit here so you can actually hear when they point out something.
Expected loss of signal in Bermuda.
These are normal. That's for stage 2 communication. And once the stage goes out of the range of one communication antenna, it reacquires signal from another one. And so sometimes they lose contact. To me right now, because we haven't we still haven't seen any footage. No call out, no nothing. Would be kind of sad to see that booster being lost. I would have loved it to see a 6th launch and a 7th and an 8th one and so on and so forth. Aliens abducted it. Yeah, that must be the reason. Maybe even that. Yeah, exactly. Booster wanted to go for a swim. Who knows? We'll see what SpaceX has to say, but right now it doesn't look like it made the landing. It would be surprising to see. Yeah, here comes the spin. That is typical for these low orbit releases. We've seen that on a few Starlink launches yet already.
Back to the webcast for Starlink.
All right, 1 second.
We had an on-time liftoff this morning at 8:16 a.m. Eastern Time. Our first stage successfully separated from the second stage, but unfortunately we did get confirmation that we were not able to land that first stage today.
There we go.
We are obviously disappointed, but our primary mission on second stage is still on target to drop our Starlink satellites to their deployment orbit.
That happens.
One quick update, as many of you know, we've been running a number of tests to reduce the reflectivity of these Starlink satellites on their way to orbit.
Agree.
The first of these tests involve using paint to darken portions of the satellite. Preliminary results show a notable reduction, but we have a couple other ideas that we think could reduce the reflectivity even further. The most promising being a sunshade that would operate in the same way as a patio umbrella or a sun visor, but for the satellite. The sunshade option is slated for a future Starlink launch, and all of these efforts are ongoing and will continue to report results back as we receive them.
It's interesting to hear.
We're now coming up on deployment of our Starlink satellites, so let's listen in for that call out. We should be able to see separation live, so we'll wait for that live view.
Payload separation confirmed.
Here we go. Give us a feed.
So we did get confirmation of deployment.
Yep,
And there is that live
Another
view.
60. That's
So you can see on your screen the satellites are slowly separating away from the second stage. And over the next few weeks, they will distance themselves from each other and eventually use their onboard ion thrusters to make their way to their final orbit.
Nice. Very well. Well done, SpaceX. Very good.
And with that successful deployment, that brings our webcast to a close for today. To recap our mission, we had a successful liftoff of Falcon 9 from Kennedy Space Center at 8:16 a.m. Eastern Time. We had a successful separation of that first stage from the second stage. Unfortunately, we did not recover that first stage for another launch, but as you can see, 60 healthy and operational Starlink satellites are on their way to their intended orbits. It's definitely been an exciting launch today. We want to thank the 45th Space Wing for range safety and the FAA for licensing today's launch. And we'd also like to thank you, all of our viewers, for tuning in. Please follow our website and social media platforms for updates on our next missions and milestones. Until the next time, please take care and have a great day.
There we go. All right. Don't forget to like their live stream as well, because they've done an awesome job today, as always, and it helps them too, probably. So this is it. Awesome. I'm gonna real quick go back to where we saw the last moments of the booster right there before we saw the loss, because I want to check out the movement of the booster real quick, because I have to agree with, I already forgot your name. You pointed out that there was some strange shaking on the booster, and I have to agree. If you look at the horizon of the planet, you see that see that is really wonky movement there, and that is not normal. It's still able to correct it though, and then we have a loss of signal. Yep. It is really, really hard to tell what the problem was now, of course, because yeah, 639. Let me just check that real quick. Yep, there you go. That is a part of the booster. That is not a UFO, not a drone or anything. It's a part of the booster. It's hard to tell what it is. Let me see if I can get a better still of that. Yeah, it is already gone there. it at? Where was it? Can't find it anyway. It's gone. Oh well, it's a part of the booster, and it's not a UFO or a drone or anything, but it looks like it's a part of the booster. Yeah, 639. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There it is. It looks like a metal fragment or something. It's not nominal, and it shouldn't happen, and it doesn't look like some sort of piece that should come loose, but it's really hard to say what it is. It's an old booster, and when I see this kind of stuff, I always have to think about the starships, because they'll have to perform landings on a daily basis, and yeah, if a Falcon 9 booster has trouble landing 5 times, of course the Starship is a different system, and it lands with fins, and it has a heat shield, and it is different construction, all that kind of stuff. But this tells us that landing something vertically is difficult to do, and every aspect has to be just right for the rocket to come down. And yeah, it's something. Sad story that it didn't land. I would have loved it to see it land, and maybe even do a 6th launch. We'll have to wait for another booster to be able to do that if we ever see it. But 5 launches is pretty impressive for a standard orbital rocket. If you ask me, that is pretty awesome. Give us an estimate of the size of the dislodged piece. How am I supposed to do that? I'd say it's about the size of an engine bell of the Merlin engine, which would bring it to a little bit under a meter, as I think. I think the engine bells are like 80 centimeters wide. I couldn't tell you what that's in inches though. So, but that is just totally a guess. You can't, if you don't have any. I mean, you don't even know how far away it is from the rocket in this frame. So, or from the camera, and it is impossible. It could be bigger. It could be smaller. I'd say my guess is it's about the size of or maybe half the size of an engine bell. But that is just a random guess. It is impossible to say how big that part is. If anybody can do that, 1 meter is 3 feet. 10 centimeters, we got 10 centimeters. Who offers more? It is really, that is just a blind guess. You can't really tell how big that thing is. It's if it is a UFO, it is a really, really small UFO. That's for sure. 4 meters, exactly. It is. You can just blindly guess, but that is something impossible to say from this picture. You really can't. It could be ice as well. Exactly. It doesn't look like a piece of ice to me, though, to be honest. But it could also be ice. Absolutely correct. Yeah. Twice as much as half, exactly. That is just impossible to say. I wish I could answer that question, but it's really hard. My estimate, Jordan, my estimate could be right, but it could also be totally wrong. It is. Don't quote me on that. It is really hard to say. Kind of. Yeah, it could be a virus. Compared to the grid fins, yeah, but still, you don't know how far the piece is away from the rocket and how far the piece is away from the grid fins and how far the camera is away from the grid fins. Well, that could actually be estimated because we roughly know where the GoPros are sitting on the boosters. But I wouldn't want to lean out the window. And yeah, there we go. I'm quoted already. No, that is impossible to say. It is really impossible. But if a piece of the engine bell got separated, could that... No, if a piece of the engine bell would be separated, but that's not what I mean. I didn't mean that that's a piece of the engine bell. I said that it could be roughly as big as an engine bell, but it could also be totally wrong. Again, I should have never answered that. Don't quote me on this. It is just like... I mean, you see it emerge from under the rocket. That's what it looks like, at least. Here, let me see that again. It looks like it emerges from under the rocket. See? And then it gets bigger. But it could... you know? Ew. I can't tell. I really can't tell how big that piece is. It could be way smaller actually, because when it approaches down there, it is really small still. So that's where the engines are. If I'm correct with it, appears from under the rocket, it is actually much smaller than an engine bell, and then it comes up closer to the camera. But still, even then, it could, and again, it could just be a piece of ice. That's also possible. But I saw parts leaving the booster before that even, I think. Let me just go back again. That wasn't the only piece that got separated, if I remember correctly. We'll keep watching. But I think it wasn't the only piece that I saw got separated from the booster. Could be wrong though. Here everything looks nominal. The RCS worked just fine, and the booster is able to precisely steer for a position. Everything's fine. It's really, really hard to tell what happened to that booster. This looks like a perfect trajectory to me. Heat shield forward, engines forward, and it's a perfect curve. Slightly bending down now. Everything still looks very, very normal. Of course, the grid fins at this stage don't work yet because the atmosphere is not thick enough, so they don't move. Even there's a piece again, but so it was the only piece that came loose. But up to this point, everything looks normal. I think the trouble starts when the booster actually starts using the grid fins, so it enters thicker atmosphere, which could again be pointing to a problem with the grid fins, or a problem with the heat shield, or the engine bells, or the engine bay, I wanted to say. But the movement is kind of erratic at this point as well. It's really hard to say. See, that is wonky right there. That is wonky movement, definitely. And I can still see something burning down there as well. That is interesting. Look at that. That is far more interesting than your UFO. Look at this down at the base of the rocket. There. See that? Yeah, you can see my mouse arrow. That is the re-entry burn has already ended at this point, and there shouldn't be any fire going on. If I'm correct. Tell me if I'm not correct, but that's what it looks like. See, everything's turned off. And there it is again. Yep, and it's getting bigger as well. And then we lose, well, so it could actually be that there was an unintentional, it's RCS? I don't think so. Turbo pump exhaust, okay. Yeah, like I said before, it is really hard to tell what this is, but turbo pump exhaust kind of doesn't play it for me, because this is really long. It's hard to say. We'll have to wait for SpaceX to give us any kind of confirmation, or maybe Scott Manley will be able to come up with something, because he's normally really, really good with giving us analysis of what's going on. He's really, really good with that, with the frame-by-frame analysis, because he has a lot of knowledge about that kind of stuff, more than I do, which I regret to say, because I'd love to have his knowledge. But the educated guesses right now will, even for him, probably be really hard to do, because there is... I'm trying to read your chat, because that is pretty interesting what you're writing there. Entry burn didn't look right. valve maybe failed to close exactly. I think that burning down there isn't a turbopump exhaust. That should normally stop right in the second the engine gets shut down, if I'm correct. And if it doesn't do that, it should definitely not last that long. And right after that seems to get bigger, connection is lost with the booster. So, and another piece fell off exactly. Hopefully Elon wasn't on the rocket. No. Yep. Okay. So that concludes today's Starship. Today's Starship launch. No, it's of course a Starlink launch. It was very, very exciting to see the booster actually be able to deliver another second stage up into orbit. We saw another 60 Starlink satellites. We have 300 version 1 Starlink satellites up now. At 400 Starlink satellites, they'll start providing service for the United States and Canada, as I recall, which is awesome. And it's crazy to see how fast SpaceX actually gets these satellites up. They're already well past any other super constellation. Are they called super constellations? Mega constellations. Any other mega constellation provider. They are not anywhere close to 300 satellites, and that is an amazing thing to have. And hopefully we'll get an update on why that booster didn't land, but that would have to come from SpaceX themselves, and they normally don't do that. Maybe Elon will do it at a later point, which would be nice. But it really doesn't make sense for SpaceX to release an information about that. So we'll have to wait and see. I will watch it, of course, and if you're not following me on Twitter yet, I'll definitely be posting a tweet about that as soon as SpaceX posts anything, or anybody else I know. So yeah, I'm hoping that there's going to be an update about that. If you've got any more questions, I'm still my voice is still there, and I'd be willing to answer a few more questions, especially about the launch if you have one, and I can answer it, of course, not about sizes of pieces, because that is it's really hard to say, as I said. I've already have some questions here that haven't been answered yet, so I'll go through these real quick. I hope I didn't forget anybody after this crazy super chat fundraiser that you gave me earlier. That was pretty crazy, and I hope I didn't skip too many questions in that. Köhn Schouten said, do you know any good German books about space? It is for a school assignment. It depends on the school assignment, but I have, just give me 1 second. I have a book right here, which you should also be able to get. It's this one. I probably have very, very strange headset hair right now. This is this book here, but it's from 1969. It's one of the most interesting books about space that I've been able to see so far, because it's it shows moon landings from the view of somebody who hasn't seen a moon landing yet, because this book was released right before the moon landings, and that is a very, very, very interesting book. It's German. Try to see if it has an ISBN number, but it could be that back then they didn't even have ISBN numbers. Doesn't show any ISBN number here. I'll show it into the camera again so you can see it. I'll have to wait a second, because the software is a bit delayed. So this is the book, and I'll get that a little bit higher. I'll do like this here. Come on, there you go. That's the book. Make a screenshot of the live stream if you wanna take this one. It's definitely worth it, and it's always on my set because I find that book so very, very, very interesting. So yeah, but it depends on your school assignment. As I said, it's kind of hard to say what you're writing about. Does it feel different now to watch a rocket launch? I've had that. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Brittany Spalding asked, how much refurbishment do the boosters actually get between use? I think the absolute record time they ever had was 45 days. Could be wrong by a day or two, but I think that's the fastest they've ever done. And what they basically do is they check all the parts that are that have a lot of wear and tear, valves, O-rings, all sorts of exhaust parts that are stressed a lot while the launch is going on. The heat shield of the engine bay is checked, of course. There are all sorts of parts that have to be checked, but far less than, for example, on a space shuttle back in the days. They had to check the whole thing. They had to take every part, everything apart and check everything manually and so on and so forth. So the Falcon 9 is already a big step away from that, but it's not nearly where SpaceX wants to go with the Starship, where they basically just want to refuel the rocket, launch it the same day, like an hour to refuel it and launch it again. So that's the goal that Elon Musk has right now. But the Falcon 9, as I said, the Falcon 9 boosters are really, really good, and nobody else comes close to that right now. Vidura. Couldn't it be a liquid oxygen? Oh, we're well past that part in the stream. It could be, yes. I think you probably meant the piece that fell off, and it could well be ice. I don't even know what your question was about though, because we're not that part anymore. I'm sorry, Daniel. You can move through individual frames with. Oh, I didn't even know that, with dot and comma. Let me just try that. That is awesome. Thank you very, very much. I did not know that, honestly. That is really cool. I've been using YouTube for I don't know how many years, and I never. That is awesome. You can even hold it down and just look at the piece. That is really, really cool. I'm gonna use that a lot in the future. Thank you very much. That helped me a lot. That is insane. Thank you. If I could, I'd give you a super chat for that. Very nice. Thank you. Looks like a metal piece from the booster. Yeah. I love this. Yeah, it could be a metal piece. It could. It doesn't really look like ice. I'm sorry. I'm still busy with that piece because it is kind of interesting to. Here it gets darker for a second. Maybe it's spun around. It's hard to tell. I don't know what that piece is. Maybe we'll never find out. It's strange though. You made me stay up all night. Let's get that camera. Thank you very much, Hi Grandmaster. Edward Dulleman, thank you again for the super chat. That is so much appreciated. Could you put up a counter for the camera fund status on your YouTube community tab? I could, but I'd have to update that every day or so. I have some way to do that on my Patreon page, but for these kind of really, really big goals, I don't do that because it would be too far in the future. For Patreon, I normally use smaller goals because right now, for example, I need a new chair as well because the chair I'm sitting on is roughly 20 years old. And so I was thinking it would be a good thing because now on my other job, before I did this, I was a sales rep in the field. So I walked around a lot. And now I'm just sitting here in the studio every day. And that needs a better chair. And so that's one of my goals I have on Patreon. And there I actually have a patron counter. The more people become patrons, the closer I get to the goal of buying this chair. And that's what I do on Patreon. But for money wise for the camera, it would be really hard to do especially because such a big goal is hard to keep track of, and I'd have to update that every day. I'm reluctant to do it because it would be more work even, and I have so little time right now because of all the editing. Again, if you know anybody who knows how to edit what I am doing on my YouTube channel, if you know anybody who thinks I could do that, just editing wise, Give them my email address, whataboutit.contact@gmail.com. Make them write to me, because right now I'm actively looking for an editor, and it would be a paid job as well. So it's not a a thing where you would do this just to pitch in and get this thing going, because editing is a lot of work. I'd be willing to pay for it. So if you know anybody who could fill that position, who could do what you can see on my episodes, with the Adobe Creative Cloud. So sadly, I don't use Final Cut, which is the Apple variant. You would have to have the Adobe suite, but if you know anybody, tell them to write me an email and I'll look into it. So yeah, thank you. Everyday Astronaut did a tweet. This sure didn't look normal near first stage MECO. Yeah. He's referring to the first stage main engine cutoff. Okay. I did not see anything bad there. Can't. Maybe 1 second. Have to reload the page here. Doesn't want to bring up the stream anymore for me. There we go. And there's the MECO. Let me just make this big screen again for you. See if we can find what Everyday Astronaut found. We got the MECO. And he's talking about 220 though. Looked just right to me. Well, yeah, maybe there's an asymmetric thrust there, but the engine, the rocket itself is not overcorrecting or anything, so it could just be the picture. Because the sun is on one side and you don't see... I don't see anything. Does anybody see anything there? Because Everyday Astronaut tweeted that he thinks that didn't... Or actually, Trevor Malman tweeted that that it didn't look nominal. There's an explosion. An engine went boom. All right. Can you tell me at what point? That could explain the part with the engine bell-sized piece that went away from the rocket, because it didn't look like ice to me. Oh yeah, there you go. I found it. Yep, of course. I thought that was a camera glitch before. Boof. Yep, there's definitely something. Yeah, damage under the rocket. It makes it more and more likely that there was damage under the rocket that prevented it from re-entering correctly, and something went boom. It's always nice. We have the liftoff timer still here. Let me turn that off. There we go. All right. That's not nominal. No, definitely. I agree with that. That is definitely not nominal, and we'll have to maybe do a frame-by-frame analysis on the next episode. That would probably be... it might have blown the landing engine, but Falcon 9 is pretty redundant. It just needs one engine to land, and the problem occurred much higher at the re-entry burn. There are two burns on these Starlink missions. It's a re-entry burn and it's a landing burn. And it... it had nothing to do with the landing burn because the booster didn't get that far. I think the camera cutoff actually was caused by the booster going boom. So blow a gasket. Yeah. But as Jettison Guy says, it was a successful deployment, which is the goal of the mission. This just prevented the booster from doing a 5th landing, which is sad, but it's not the goal of the mission. And the booster did 5 launches, so it paid it did pay its dues, so to say. And yeah, it's kind of sad that we're not gonna see a 6th launch with the booster, but 5 I think is pretty good. At 724, what happens at 724? We're doing a little bit of Sherlock Holmes here. So yeah, that's there you go. And then we lose the feed, and that's it. Yeah, like I said, I think at 731 the booster was already in big trouble, because I think the camera loss at that high altitude is not something that happens a lot. Normally we have a stable feed until the rocket gets closer to the boat, to the drone ship. And so I think we lost the booster at a high altitude. We didn't lose the booster in the water. We lost the booster. The problem got severe at a higher altitude. That's how I would put it right now. But even that is really hard to say. Yeah, it could have been an RUD. It's really hard to say. Okay, let me get to a few more questions if you have one. Did B10 yeah, there you go. Lose an engine right before Miko. Yep. What would you a High Grandmaster Lord Zeronius says, what would you relive if you were younger? Nothing. There's this, everybody has this my dad always says, and this is my dad always says thing. My dad always says, all the things you've done in your life, everything you've done wrong, everything you've done right, led you to the point where you're at right now. And then he always asks the question, do you like that moment right now? And right now I'm doing a live stream about a rocket launch on the internet with 721 people talking with me about why we lost that booster. And I gotta say, yes, I like what I'm doing right now. And so everything in the past that I've done led me to this point, so it can't have been wrong. I have a wonderful wife. I have 3 kids. I have an adventure with the YouTube channel. I just went to Florida, and all this wouldn't have happened if anything would have changed in my past. And so I don't regret things. I'm not a big person who thinks that regretting something is something you should spend some time on. Of course, I've done stuff I would say could have gone better, but everybody does. But that's just what happens. So no, I wouldn't redo or relive anything in my past, because then maybe my present wouldn't have happened. Itai Aharon says, why you have a cartoon person in your videos? The cartoon person is called Starman. It's this guy here. which is, there we go. Haha. Yeah. So I was so I was saying this little guy here. I don't know when I lost you. It's probably when I turned on the Starman right away. I had an episode about what's dangerous in space and what we'll have to look out for when we go to Mars. And I had a Starman character, a full-size person Starman though, as a test dummy in the episode. And I got such a big feedback about it that I thought I'd ask a graphic designer if she could make something better out of it than just a screenshot of a Starman. And she's called Mooney Sky, and she's very talented, and she did a lot of graphics for the channel already. And she came up with this little guy here, and it's not a robot, it's the SpaceX suit, the space suit. It even has on this shoulder here, it has a little SpaceX symbol, and he's wearing the helmet. So it's the same stuff that Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken are going to be wearing on the demo mission, and just in cartoon form. And I thought no other YouTuber that I'd know of has a mascot, and mascots are a common thing anywhere else. And I really like the guy, and it makes a lot. It does. It's a lot of fun for me to animate him in the episodes, and there's little effort to do it. And so yeah, that's why Starman is on the episodes. It's my little buddy who follows me, and I even have this thing here. It's my smartphone. It's got a little case with a Starman on it. Won't focus on it, but there you go. See, he's smiling on there, and I've got T-shirts of it and all that kind of stuff. I just like the guy. I think Mooney Sky did a really nice job with him. I have chat smileys of him. I'm kind of in love with this little Starman. That's why he's on the episodes. I hope you don't find him too annoying, because I don't, as you can see in the chat right now. And yeah, that's Starman. That's how he came to life. Elon tweeted, there was also an early engine shutdown on ascent, so that is correct, but it didn't affect orbit insertion. Shows value of having 9 engines. That's what I said. It's pretty redundant. Thorough investigation needed before next mission. Okay, so one of the engines didn't do the trick. It did it well enough, though. It was right before Miko that one of the engines said sayonara, and SpaceX will have to put more time and investigation into what exactly happened with the engine. It looked like an explosion. I have to agree with that. And if it was an explosion, it probably most likely damaged the heat shield in the engine bay, and that means that heat was able to get into the engine bay, and that makes the booster go RUD. So that most likely is what happened, and that's the reason why we lost the camera link. So it wasn't due to bad weather or loss of signal or something. It was due to the booster not being there anymore, or being there in many pieces. So that's what it looks like right now, I'd say. Yeah, so we got it. We got the puzzle solved, in my opinion. It's one of the engines exploded, and that made an opening in the engine bay, and that made heat from re-entry get into the rocket, and that most likely caused an RUD. I don't think that this will affect Crew Dragon, because that is a brand new booster. Also, Crew Dragon is far away still. It's earliest May 7th, as I recall, and that is 2 months from now, or almost 2 months from now. And so I don't think that that'll, big time at least, affect Crew Dragon if a 5 flights old booster has problems. At least I think so. I would be it would be strange to me if somebody says Elon tweeted. Let me just check Elon's tweets here. Give me a second. It would be sad if that would affect rocket first stage self-quarantined itself in the ocean. Yep. Didn't tweet anything about Crew Dragon though, right? Yeah, no, he didn't. Well, it would surprise me if it would affect Crew Dragon, to be honest. Single engine misfire, but it didn't have any effect because it was right before Miko, and the second stage was already at the point of a good orbit insertion, so that doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's interesting to already have some facts about why that booster didn't make the landing. So one of the engines had a misfire, possibly an explosion, and that would definitely open up the heat shield in the engine bay for nasty heat to get into the booster, and that is a death sentence for booster. Yes, I do play Kerbal Space Program, or I did play Kerbal Space Program. I have to say I'm not a nut with it, so I don't go crazy in Kerbal Space Program like Everyday Astronaut does or Marcus House does, which I find really, really funny, and I enjoy watching these streams, but I never went past... I built a station in orbit, in Kerbin orbit, and I docked a module to it, and I landed on the moon, and I never made it to Mars or to Duna, as it's called in Kerbal Space Program, I think. So I have played it. I've played it quite for a few hours as well, but not like 1,000 hours going crazy with all sorts of crazy contraptions and all that kind of stuff. I did that with Space Engineers. I played that for, I don't know, 700, 800 hours or so, and built a lot of stuff. Actually, with one of my moderators, we spent a lot of time in that game, so that was a lot of fun. I am waiting for Kerbal Space Program 2, and I'm definitely going to try it out. Yep. And don't call us nuts. No, I like the game. It's a really, really nice game, and it's a brilliant idea, and it's lots of fun, and I had loads of fun pushing the space bar, doing the separations and all that kind of stuff. It's a really good game. It definitely is. And you can go crazy with physics in it. You can do the same in Space Engineers. I could make a community Space Engineers server, but Space Engineers has a rather bad multiplayer. I tried setting up a multiplayer server before in Space Engineers, but the dedicated server I ran on my PC, even though I have 12 cores and 48 gigabytes of RAM and all that kind of stuff, totally didn't run stable. And even a rented server didn't run stable either. It's just the netcode of Space Engineers is rather bad, so everything above, let's say 4, 5, 6 players gets unstable really quick. So that's the problem with Space Engineers. Was initially built the same way Kerbal Space Program was built, as a single player game. So it runs beautifully in single player, but as soon as you go multiplayer, you have to watch a lot of things. It's lots of work to maintain the server and all that kind of stuff, and that I'm too busy for that right now, but it would be a beautiful thing to have. Do call us nuts. 3,000 hours plus. Yeah, exactly. Kerbal Space Program can take a lot of time, but same as Space Engineers, as I said, it's a really, really good game too. Exactly, Keith. You know what I'm talking about. It's a really, really good game. We can run 16 in multiplayer, no issues now. How? You have to tell me about that later on the Discord. If there's any improvement there with the multiplayer servers, we might actually do it. That would be cool. Pete, I don't know about the Nikon P100, but I honestly want to stay with the Sony cameras because I love these. And I've heard from quite a few content creators that this Alpha 7 III, I think, is a really, really good camera for YouTubers. So that's why I'm eyeballing that camera. Multiplayer multi-threading update. Ooh, don't tell me that kind of stuff. I might be okay, guys, if you don't see any episodes for the next 4 weeks, it's Keith's fault, so you can blame him right now because he's in the chat. Yeah, small ring-like object past the rocket. That's what I thought too. Exactly. Thank you, Alan. I even went back on the launch stream and I couldn't find it again. But I think so too. There were quite a few parts that flew off that booster. Slap like now. Exactly. I don't know if the Space Engineers server would be patron only. I don't even know if we're gonna have a Space Engineers server. Don't talk me into anything here. Could be if somebody in the community is willing to let me put it this way. If somebody in the community, in the Discord community, of course, because I'd have to communicate with the person, is able or has the time or is willing to make a stable Space Engineers multiplayer server, I would definitely agree to making it the What About It Space Engineers multiplayer server. But I don't really have any time to invest into it, so that's the problem. I'm busy every day, editing, recording, scripting, revising my scripts, because SpaceX is so crazy fast in Boca Chica right now that, like I said on an episode, I think, when I write a script, I record everything I want to record, and then I get back to my PC and look at what's happened since, and I have to redo part of the script already again. So it keeps me pretty busy, and I just wouldn't have the time to open up multiplayer servers for any sort of game. But if anybody's willing to do that, I would be more than willing to play on it now and then. The new episode is always Mondays and Thursdays. My episodes always come Mondays and Thursdays, and if they're not 20 minutes crazy over length, they normally come around 1700 German time, which is 1600 GMT. And that would be 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Yeah, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time is normally the time around which I release my episodes. But don't hit me if it comes out an hour later or an hour earlier. It is sometimes hard to predict, because normally I work on the episode just like 5 minutes before release. I'm normally still working and tinkering and doing stuff on it. So, but that's normally the time, exactly. All right, Chris, see you soon. Thanks for joining the live stream. And exactly, I think I'm gonna. My telescope is working. Yes, it is. It's a Bresser NT150, and it's a really good telescope with a go-to mount. If you want to get into that, that's a really good telescope for that. You're very welcome, Martin. Exactly. When do I sleep? And that's the reason why I'm going to end the stream now, because I still have work to do on the Thursday episode, and we've seen a very, very successful launch and deployment of 60 Starlink satellites. Sadly, not a landing of the boosters, but we're already working on the reason for that, which is going to be rather interesting to see if we're going to get even more information than we've already got. And all right, so thank you 1,000 times for all the super chats I got today. It's much appreciated, and it helps me to get that 4K camera. If you've got the time, again, even at the end of the stream, it helps others to find the video after I close down the stream. It's going to be on my channel, and people will want to see. People who slept maybe or didn't have the time will want to see the launch. And if you like the stream, they'll have an easy time of finding it. Subscribe to the channel, of course. Consider becoming a patron. Consider buying some merchandise. I'll have something about the merchandise on my next episode, so look forward to that. There's going to be some major changes there. That's basically it. Thank you very, very much for joining. Stay safe, stay healthy in these difficult times with the pandemic going around and everything. And have a great day, and I'll see you on Thursday on the next episode. So thank you very, very, very much. And of course, I'll, as always, leave the music running for a moment, so enjoy some cool beats. Goodbye.